everyone, ready to supercharge your QA process. I know you're always looking for ways to make testing smoother and unlock those insights from your data. Well, today we're diving deep into ChainTest. It's an open source tool that can totally change your testing game. Basically, it's a test reporting and analytics framework, lives on GitHub, so completely free. And the best part, it's perfect whether you're working solo or as part of a smaller team.
Yeah, one thing that's great about it is it solves a really common problem.
Yeah.
QA teams often feel swamped by data, right?
Mm-hmm.
Spreadsheets everywhere, endless searching for that one test result that explains everything. ChainTest brings order to all that chaos.
For sure. It's like it knows exactly when you're about to give up digging through logs, wishing for that magic button. And get this, ChainTest offers two main ways to use it. A real-time dashboard, which I love, and the option to generate static reports. It's like they knew some of us thrive on constant monitoring, while others need those concise snapshots.
Exactly. It's so flexible. Think of the dashboard as your testing mission control. You see live updates, pass-fail rates, performance metrics, even visualizations of how things are trending.
So you can spot issues instantly.
Exactly. You see how code changes impact quality. And then you have the static reports, perfect for sharing a clear picture with stakeholders. The ones who might not live and breathe the testing data like we do.
Okay, I love all that. But let's sit back for a second and really picture the problem ChainTest is solving. Imagine a typical day in QA. Or maybe even your worst day, right? Drowning in spreadsheets, trying to decipher mountains of data, spending hours on manual reports.
It's all reactive, isn't it? Always playing catch-up, fighting fires. What if you could be more proactive about quality? That's where ChainTest shines. It's not just pretty reports. It gives you the insights to predict and prevent problems, before they become major headaches.
You know what really stood out to me? That historical analytics feature. I've definitely been there seeing the same bug pop up again and again, but it took forever to connect the dots because we weren't looking at the data over time. ChainTest lets you compare past results. You can spot those trends and recurring issues, which is amazing.
It's about seeing the big picture. Individual test results matter, but understanding the patterns, the trends, that's how you make smart decisions. About testing, resources, even how you approach development in the first place. You see how quality changes over time.
And even if the data's complex, you're not stuck creating reports manually for hours on end. ChainTest makes it super easy to generate those reports. A few clicks, and you've got a comprehensive summary, easily shareable in HTML format.
That ease of reporting is so important, especially with stakeholders who aren't deep into the technical side of testing. You present the information clearly, concise, professional, highlighting the key points, no overwhelming them with raw data.
And speaking of fitting into different workflows, I was really impressed that ChainTest works for different technical levels. You can dive right in using Docker for a fast setup, or if you're more hands-on, need more control over specific reports, you can go for a manual setup.
That's what I like, that flexibility. It shows the developers really get different user needs. They've built a tool that adapts to different environments, different expertise, whether you're a small team just starting out or a bigger organization with more complex needs.
And let's not forget, it's open source. That's a big deal, free to use. But it also means you can customize it to fit your exact workflow. Plus, you're part of a community, sharing tips, troubleshooting, even contributing to the tool's development.
Yeah. The community aspect is awesome. The issues section on GitHub is a goldmine. You can find answers to common questions, get help if you're stuck, connect with other users doing similar things with ChainTest. It's the power of collaboration in open source.
Absolutely. And it's not just theoretical benefits either. The source material actually highlights some specific use cases. They really bring it all to life. For example, think about smaller QA teams. They might not have the resources for fancy reporting tools. ChainTest lets them easily generate and share reports without a ton of setup or configuration.
Yeah. And on the other side, you have large enterprises managing tons of projects simultaneously. The dashboard is crucial for them, keeping an eye on everything at once, digging into historical data. They can uncover organization-wide trends that a smaller team might not even notice.
It just hit me. Those clean HTML reports would be so valuable with stakeholders who aren't very technical. Explaining complex testing data can be tough, but a clear, professional-looking report makes a huge difference.
It's all about bridging that communication gap. You're not just throwing data at them, you're telling a story about quality, backed up with evidence, presented in a way that's easy to understand.
I bet by now you're probably thinking, I need to try this out.
Yeah.
Well, the good news is getting started with ChainTest is pretty simple.
It is surprisingly accessible, even if you're not a coding expert. The documentation on GitHub is really clear. They've made setup as painless as possible.
So first things first. Head over to the ChainTest GitHub repository. It's at https://github.com/r ChainTest. Once you're there, clone the project. From there, you have a couple options. It depends on how comfortable you are with different technologies.
Right. If you know Docker, that's the fastest way to get ChainTest up and running. It handles a lot of the setup and configuration for you.
Yeah.
But if you prefer a more hands-on approach, or maybe you're really focused on those static reports and want more control over the setup, then the manual installation is a good option too.
Okay, I have to admit, I got a little excited when I saw Docker mentioned. It's always nice when a tool just snaps into place quickly. But I can see how the manual setup would appeal to people who want to really get under the hood and customize things.
It's about choosing what works best for your skills and your specific goals for using ChainTest. And honestly, even if you start with Docker and later decide you need more customization, you can always switch to manual setup later. The flexibility is there.
Okay, before we move on, any quick tips for someone just getting started with ChainTest? I always love those little insider tips.
Definitely check out the issues section on GitHub, even if you don't have a specific question right now. It's a great way to get a feel for common challenges. See how other users are solving them. You might even find some creative workarounds you wouldn't have thought of on your own.
And hey, you might even find yourself wanting to contribute to the project. Open source thrives on community involvement. You could help other users and learn a ton yourself.
Exactly. Even small contributions can make a big difference, like suggesting improvements to the documentation or helping test new features. It's a way to give back and be part of something bigger.
So let's take a step back and recap what we've learned about ChainTest. It seems like a real game changer for QA teams, big or small. It's all about saving time, reducing manual effort, and most importantly, getting those deep insights into your testing process. So you can go from reactive to proactive about quality.
Yeah, it's about empowering teams with data, moving beyond gut feelings and intuition, and basing your QA strategy on real evidence.
It's like going from a blurry black and white picture to suddenly seeing everything in high definition color. You notice things you never knew were there, and that can lead to some amazing breakthroughs.
I like that analogy. And the fact that it's open source means it's accessible to everyone. You don't need a huge budget or a team of developers to benefit. It's about making powerful QA tools available to everyone.
Yeah.
Creating a community where knowledge is shared and everyone can contribute. And you know what's really cool is that we're just scratching the surface of what ChainTest can do. There's so much potential for customization and integration with other tools. It's like a base you can build on to create your perfect QA setup.
Yeah, I love that idea. ChainTest is a starting point, not a one-size-fits-all thing. You can make it your own and keep evolving it as your testing gets more advanced.
Exactly. It grows with you.
Yeah.
And as the open source community keeps contributing, we'll probably see even more features, integrations, uses cases pop up. It's always changing, which is exciting.
So as we're wrapping up this deep dive into ChainTest, I want to leave you with a challenge. Think about your current testing process. Where do you feel like you're lacking visibility or struggling to get those key insights?
Yeah, think about how ChainTest could fit in. Could it help you uncover hidden trends, streamline your reporting, or just give you a clearer understanding of your overall quality?
I bet once you start using ChainTest and seeing what it can do, you'll wonder how you ever managed without it. It's the kind of tool that can change how you approach QA.
Totally. And remember, it's not about replacing your own intuition or expertise. It's about giving you the data and insights to make better decisions and ultimately deliver better software.
So go for it. Dive into the world of ChainTest and see how it can unlock the full potential of your QA process.
And, you know, it's exciting because we've just scratched the surface of what ChainTest can do. There's so much potential there for customization, for integrating with other tools, like a foundation. You could build on it, create a QA system that's really personalized.
I like that ChainTest as a starting point. Not a one-size-fits-all solution. You adapt it to what you need, and it can evolve as your testing process gets more sophisticated.
Exactly. It grows with you. And with the open source community, you know, everyone contributing, we'll probably see a ton of new features, integrations, ways to use it. It's constantly changing, which is great.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into ChainTest, I want to leave you with something to think about. Think about how you do testing right now. What's one area where you feel like you need more visibility or you're struggling to get those insights you need?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
How could ChainTest change that? Could it help you find hidden trends, make reporting easier, or just give you a clearer picture of, you know, the overall quality of your work?
I bet once you start exploring ChainTest and you see all it can do. You'll be like, how did I ever live without this? It's that kind of tool. It can completely change how you approach QA.
For sure. And it's not about, getting rid of your own judgment or expertise. It's about having the data, the insights, so you can make smarter decisions. And in the end, create better software.
So what are you waiting for? Jump into the world of ChainTest and see how it can help you really unlock the potential of your QA process.